Hello everyone. Today's class we are going to talk about innate immune system. As you can see here on the board, I've drawn a quirky figure. This is just to make the class a bit interesting. We'll shortly come over to it. So before we jump into innate immune system, let us see what immune system is. You know what? The human body is actually very smart. It knows how to distinguish between self and non-self. So what does this mean? It knows that something produced in its own body is called self, and something which is present outside is non-self or foreign. So in our surroundings, there are a various number of particles such as bacteria, viruses, protists, fungi, parasitic worms, insects, germs, etc. These are foreign particles, and these can cause infectious diseases or illness in our body. These are collectively called as pathogens. Pathogens are basically nothing but enemy of human bodies. So as I said, our body is very smart. So not all pathogens are able to cause disease in our bodies. The reason is the body has its own army. It has its own defense mechanism. It has the capability of detecting or recognizing the foreign particles and destroying or killing them. This whole defense mechanism is nothing but the immune system, and this ability to fight against foreign particles is nothing but known as immunity. Now, immune system in human body has two main branches: the innate immune system that we are going to discuss today, and the second branch is the adaptive or acquired immune system. Let me just write here: adaptive or acquired system, that I'm going to introduce towards the end of this lecture. Now, the word innate means inborn or natural. This immune system is present in our body by birth. This is something that we inherit from our parents, and so since it is based on the DNA that we possess, and DNA being exclusive for each individual, this is the reason we say that person A has low immunity compared to person B. Coming to this quirky figure again, just imagine this is you or me with beautiful eyes, nose, mouth, and some lovely hair. As we'll come shortly to it, that these all act as barriers against the pathogens. Now, before we discuss about the barriers, let us see what are the points of entry through which a foreign particle can invade inside the body. So the points of entry are our skin, the nose, ears, eyes, the mouth, the respiratory tract, the gastrointestinal tract, the urinogenital tract. All these act as entry points from where the foreign particles can enter. The innate immune system is known as general and non-specific immune system. What does this imply? This implies that as soon as our body detects that there is a danger, any foreign particle or any enemy has attacked us or is surrounding us, the innate immune system immediately, without any preference that this is pathogen A or B or C, what it does is it just goes and attacks that pathogen. And this is the reason it is called non-specific. This immune system has two lines of defense mechanisms. The first line, or the primary defense mechanism, and the second line of defense, or the secondary defense system. First line itself implies that this acts first, and second line of defense means that this comes into play once the first line is breached. Now, coming back to this quirky figure again, as you see that I have written something in green color, something in blue. These are basically to distinguish the different barriers. Now, the first line of defense can be divided into two types of barriers: the physical, or they're also called structural barriers, and physiological or the chemical barriers. So let's see what are these physical barriers. As you see, the hair on our head, the hair inside our nose, surrounding our ears, the hair of our eyelashes, these all protect us from foreign particles and dust and germs. Coming to skin, our skin is the largest and most important structural or external barrier against pathogens. It is made up of impermeable layers that do not allow any pathogen to invade easily. The third physical barrier is the epithelium. The cells lining these entry points, this respiratory tract, the gastrointestinal tract, or the urinogenital tract, the epithelial cells, what they do is they have a layer of slimy and sticky, a very viscous fluid outside them, which is called mucus. This mucus entraps any pathogen that might enter via the food we eat or via the air that we breathe. Further, these epithelial cells have such small finger-like projections known as cilia. So what the cilia do is that they move left and right and they just drive out the pathogens away from our system. After these physical barriers, comes physiological or chemical barriers. These barriers are basically the secretions produced by the cells of our body. So what are these secretions? Cerumen. Cerumen, or commonly known as ear wax. The wax inside our ears not only lubricates the ear canal, but it helps in trapping the pathogens. Tears, saliva. Tears produced by our eyes, saliva produced by our mouth. They have a special enzyme called lysozyme. What it does, it breaks the cell wall of pathogens like bacteria and viruses and do not let them grow. Coming to skin. Skin does not only act as an external barrier, it has certain glands which secrete sweat and sebum. These secretions create an inhospitable, unfavorable environment in which the pathogens cannot grow. Now, inside our stomach, there are certain cells that secrete hydrochloric acid, HCl. The environment in the stomach is highly acidic. pH is 1.8. This is basically for digestion of food, but what it does, it creates a very inhospitable environment. The pathogens cannot survive or grow in this pH. So, now, this is the first line of defense that we have discussed. Coming to second line of defense, what happens is, suppose you went for cycling, you fell down, you got bruised, or you got a cut on your hand or in your skin. So now what happens is that it is exposed to pathogens, and now the pathogens have an easy access to enter your cells. So now, since the first line is breached, the second line of defense or the secondary lines of defense comes into play. This second line of defense is also categorized as cellular barrier. Why is it so? Because certain machinery that is involved here are the cells. The white blood cells form the army men of this second line of defense mechanism. What happens in second line of defense is that the temperature of our body increases, which gives us fever. This temperature does not allow pathogens to grow. The second thing is that it causes an inflammatory response. What is inflammatory response? Basically, suppose you had a mosquito bite on your hand. What happens is immediately you get a bump on your skin, you start scratching, it becomes red, and this is a sign. This is a sign that your immune system is working, it is fighting. So the redness, the swelling, the pain, this response is known as inflammation. Also, the body has its own way to get rid of the dead cells once a pathogen is killed or a cell is dead. And how it does is through formation of pus, through loose motions, through sneezing, through coughing. So next time when you have such symptoms, do not panic. It is a sign of healing. Your immune system is working. Shortly, now we will discuss about this army men, the WBCs, the second line of defense. That is, we are going to talk about this now.